Hey, what's up, guys? It's Bakes here, and thank you for joining me for this episode of Ranked. It has been a very long time since my last episode in this series. The last franchise that I did in an episode was the Hatchet franchise, and to me, that feels like so long ago, so it probably is a little bit overdue getting back to this series. But today's episode of Ranked, I'll be ranking the VHS franchise. There's still so many mainstream and big horror franchises that I haven't done. I haven't done the Halloween franchise, TCM. There's so many other horror franchises and big titles that I haven't done, but every now and then I like to give flowers to a set of films that maybe get a little bit overlooked and not a lot of people bring up. And it actually wasn't that long ago, maybe about half an hour before recording, I was actually gonna do the Paranormal Activity franchise, and I pulled off all the Paranormal Activity films that I had on the shelf. I started putting them in order, and then I went, oh fuck, I actually haven't seen the newest Paranormal Activity film, Next of Kin, so scrap that, and then I just popped into my head the VHS franchise, so I pulled them off. I recently just picked up two of the films that I didn't have in my collection. One of them I actually hadn't seen before, which was VHS 94. So that was a recent watch for me as well. So now I'm all caught up with the six films, and yeah, I thought perfect for today's episode of Ranked. For those who don't know the VHS franchise, it's a anthology horror franchise, and the gimmick behind it is that all the stories are found footage. The films normally consist of like 4 to 5 stories and one wraparound, and then, as I said, they're all meant to be found footage. So I've got them all piled off to the side here. I'm going to be ranking them as usual from my least favourite to favourite. This is probably going to be a video where in a year's time it's going to be outdated, because there seems to be a new VHS film coming out every year or two, so it probably will be outdated sooner rather than later. But either way, the VHS franchise off to the side here. Let's get into it, starting off at my least favourite in the franchise, my number 6. Alright, so getting into my list, starting off with my least favourite in the franchise. Here I have the final installment of the original trilogy before it took its little hiatus and then eventually got rebooted on Shudder. Here I have VHS Viral, which is the third film in the franchise. I haven't watched VHS Viral in the longest time, and that's a very deliberate decision on my behalf, because I just remember this one being like head and tails weaker than the rest. This one was like really bad. There's parts of it that I do remember. I remember there's a story that has to do with skateboarders versus zombies, and that sounds like something that would normally be up my alley because I enjoy skating. Zombie stories can be hit and miss with me, it sort of depends on the vibe. But I remember that one being more so like an MTV music video rather than like an actual engaging story or anything like that. The one story that I remember quite well, but for a negative reason, is the one that has to do with magic and magicians or something like that. As I said, it's all vague in my head because I haven't watched it in such a long time, but I remember that one sticking out to me because not only was the story just really bad, but it sort of broke the rules of what found footage is. Like, I remember there's a part where you're getting camera angles from spots where no one's actually holding a camera, or a camera was left, so you're like, who the fuck is recording this right now? And it's just really fucking dumb. But as I said, maybe my memory is a little bit off and I'm just talking shit about it, but I definitely know this is easily the weakest in the franchise, my opinion. So coming in as my least favourite, my number 6 is VHS Viral. Alright, moving on to my number 5. Here I have VHS 99. A later gimmick that they've started doing in the franchise is basing films around years. This is the one set around 99. This is a weird one because I kind of feel like VHS 99 is underrated in a way. I feel like a lot of people just sort of went, yeah, nah, it's alright, and then just no one ever spoke about it again. And it's weird because I also don't think it's that amazing. Like, it's passable, but it's nothing spectacular. But I feel like it also deserves to be spoken about a little bit more than just sort of a passing comment or whatever. This one was almost a spot higher, and I guess I'll get into that with my next entry, but I feel like this one does get a little bit overlooked. There's a couple of stories in here that have really stuck with me, and I remember them being pretty good, but overall, as a complete entry, it's not the most solid. But as I said, I feel like it does deserve to get talked about a little bit more than just a, yeah, VHS 99 is fine, because I do think it definitely delivers a little bit more than just a passing comment. So my number 5 goes to VHS 99. Alright, so moving on and getting into my number 4 pick. This is actually the most recent installment in the franchise. In fact, it only came out last year. So this is VHS 85. Again, themed around a year, this time 1985. A lot of people might be a little bit surprised that it's not higher, because I know for a fact a lot of people really dug this one when it came out last year. A lot of people were talking about it and hyping it up, and even now I hear it brought up every now and then. But I guess I wasn't sold on it as much as a lot of other people were. I still thought it was fairly decent, pretty cool, but as I said, I just didn't get sold on it as much as other people. Like I said with my previous mentioned VHS 99, it was actually very close on deciding between 99 and 85 which one was going to come in at this number 4 spot. But I gave the slight edge to 85, obviously, for a couple of reasons. One, a little bit of recency bias, to be fair. I've just seen this one more recently, so it's a bit fresher in my mind. I do feel like the stories have that little bit more consistency, so there's a slight edge there as well. But then also it does something that's actually pretty unique to the VHS franchise, where a couple of stories actually tie in together to make a bigger, more continuous story, and that's not the wraparound I mean, like actual little segments tie in together, which I thought was pretty cool. And from memory, I don't think that happens again in the VHS franchise, or happened earlier, so pretty unique there. But as I said, kind of like 99, I wasn't completely in love with this one, but I thought it was kind of cool. So it sort of falls in at like a mid-range spot as my number 4, VHS 85. As I said, a lot of people really liked that one, just didn't fully click with me, so maybe take my opinions with a grain of salt, because as I said, I know a lot of people really liked that one. Alright, so coming in at my number 3 spot, it actually surprised me that it's dropped down to my number 3, but yeah, either way, my number 3 goes to the OG VHS. I've seen this movie so many fucking times. I find it to be such an easy watch. You just put it on in the background, look up every now and then, and just sort of gauge into whatever story's on. If it's not your favourite, you just zone out again. But most of the time I can just sit through this all in one sitting, don't look at my phone, whatever, because it's just so fucking entertaining. This one's probably the most grounded. Yes, there's a few out there stories and everything, but it just feels a lot more small scale and everything, which I think is cool. There's some stories in here that like really stand out to me. That one where the guy's got the camera in his glasses and he meets that girl, which is like really fucking cool. The one in the hotel room. There's just so many iconic stories in this one to me. As I said, I'm really surprised that this one has dropped to my 3rd place, but I guess I'll get into the ones that I like a little bit more down the track. But VHS, still really fucking solid. What a great way to start off the franchise. Comes in at my number 3 spot. So getting into my 2nd place, like I said before, the first VHS movie, I was a little bit surprised that it got moved down in this ranking. But this entry here has got to be the reason why that first movie got pushed down a spot. Here I have VHS 94. This was the first installment in the franchise after it got rebooted on Shudder, and I remember there being a lot of hype when this one came out back in 2021. I thought it was a little bit earlier, but it says here 2021. Yeah, I remember a lot of people being like, yes, the VHS franchise is back with a bang, baby. But I just hadn't seen it. Like I said in my introduction, this was the only film in the franchise that was in my blind spot. I hadn't checked it out. But as I said, I remember there being a lot of hype around it. I was pretty excited to check this one out. And man, like I probably watched it maybe 2 weeks ago at max, and it just fucking floored me. And it's been stuck in my head still. Like, it was just so fucking enjoyable. Every story was like consistently good, consistently entertaining. And it was also actually pretty creepy as well. I'd definitely say that this was the scariest VHS film since the first 2. But man, this one was just so fucking cool, and I can see so many of these stories in this one being iconic to me, you know, further down the track. Like that first story, I remembered being shared like all over social media. I just didn't know where it was from. The story's called The Storm Drain with Ratman. I just thought that was so fucking cool. But then, you know, it's got like people turning into robots in other stories, like this Korean one. It's got like a zombie coming to life in this wake. Like, it's just so fucking cool. This one was just a fucking banger. Like I said, I only watched it for the first time like 2 weeks ago, and already it took out the first film in the franchise, which I've always really fucking loved, but this one was so fucking cool. So my number 2 goes to VHS 94. And obviously, if you're keeping track, my number 1 goes to VHS 2. VHS 2 has just always been so consistently good. It sounds kind of weird, but I feel like VHS 94 actually has better consistency, because the first 2 stories in this one I remember being decent, but nothing spectacular. But where this one really fucking like takes the cake is the final 2 stories. The one in the cult with like the demon worshippers. It's like an Asian centered story as well. That one's just fucking insane and so good. But then it's also got the alien invasion sleepover, which ended up getting turned into its own movie, which I definitely want to highlight now because I fucking loved that movie. The film was called Kids vs. Aliens. It's also on Shudder. The reason why I want to bring that one up is because it was actually my number 11 for top 10 favorite horror movies last year. So obviously wasn't in my top 10 video because it came in number 11, but it was so fucking fun, such a cool movie, and I haven't heard too many people talk about it, so I definitely wanted to highlight that one as well. But either way, just the final 2 stories in this one are fucking bangers. Yes, the first 2 are a little bit not as good, but yeah, still really solid overall. I have done a full-length review of VHS 2 on my channel before, so if you want to hear my complete thoughts of this one, go and check it out. But yeah, coming in as my number 1, VHS 2, this one's always been really rewatchable to me. I've never had a bad time watching this one, just so fucking good. Alright, so now as usual, I'll do a quick little recap and then get into my outro. Coming in as my least favourite in the franchise, here I had VHS Viral. Least favourite by a landslide, like I just remember this one being so weak. My number 5 went to VHS 99. Though not the greatest, still in a way underrated. There's definitely like some cool stories in this one, like the one where the girl gets buried alive. That one was really fucking cool. My number 4 goes to VHS 85. Like I said, take my opinions with a grain of salt because I know people fucking loved this one. I just thought it was pretty decent. My number 3 sort of hurt me to do it, but the OG VHS movie, yeah, still cool. Number 2, probably the biggest surprise, goes to VHS 94. Like, only seen it the once and already I've got it as my second favourite in the franchise. Just so fucking cool. And finally, my number 1, my favourite film in the VHS franchise, I have VHS 2. Which, as I said, just every time I watch it, I have a great time. Yes, the first 2 stories are a little bit meh. They're still like above average, but just comparing them to the final 2, like the final 2 stories are just fucking out of this world. So awesome. So there we go, guys. Through my ranking of the VHS franchise, like I said in my introduction, this video no doubt will be outdated within a year or 2 because these movies are just popping out all the time. But yeah, I'm going to always welcome the VHS franchise. You know, I just think it's very creative. You know, it gives so many cool directors opportunities to make these really cool shorts and spit them out. So yeah, I'm always going to be excited for a new VHS movie. But let me know in the comments, guys, what is your favorite film in the franchise. And I'll see you for another video soon, guys. Peace.